Welcome back to Dash Explore. I'm Sarah, and today I'm going to be sharing our 5 biggest packing regrets from our family travels. No matter how many times our family has traveled across the world or how carefully I plan our trips, I still make packing mistakes. It is so easy to fall into the trap of packing every what-if scenario, only to end up dragging heavy, unused gear through airports and train stations. So for today's video, I sat down and thought about all of the trips that we've gone on with our kids, and I am pulling back the curtain on the 5 biggest packing regrets that we've had from our family travels. And I hope that you can learn from my mistakes and not repeat them on your next family trip. So let's dive in. So regret number 1 is games. This is something I always have this amazing ideal fantasy about, that we'll be sitting on a train or have spare time in our apartment and we'll be able to sit down and play some cards, and that has just never been the case. I have brought Uno, I have brought Spot It, I keep buying these games and we just never use them. And although these regrets are not large, they don't take up a lot of space, they're not super heavy, it is still something that I drag all the way across the world only to bring home completely untouched. We have plenty of other tried and true methods of entertainment for our girls, and if you want to know what our absolute favorite travel toy is, make sure you check out next week's video where I'll be sharing our 5 biggest packing wins from all of our family travels. But if you're on the fence about whether or not to throw that game into your bag, maybe skip it because you probably won't have time to play. Okay, moving into regret number 2, and this is a toddler baby carrier. Now, in all of our earlier trips, we had taken our Ergo Baby 360 baby carrier. Delaney was between 11 months old and 2.5 during all of those trips, and that thing was amazing. Getting on and off planes, navigating airports, busy train stations, we loved the baby carrier. So going into our Switzerland trip, we decided we weren't gonna bring a stroller, and that maybe bringing some kind of toddler carrier that has a bigger seat for her to sit on would be the solution to not having a stroller. Well, we used that toddler carrier one time over our 7 days in Switzerland, and it takes up a lot more space with that big seat on the bottom than the baby carrier did. Now, I'm sure there are times and situations where we might have used this more often, but every trip that we have been on since that trip has just not really required a toddler carrier. So for us, that ends up being a regret. Now, your trips might look differently. Your kids might be different ages where that might be a better choice. And we only spent $40 on this carrier, so it's not like it was a huge investment, but it is something that we are probably gonna end up giving away in the near future because we just don't use it. So what was the solution for us instead of bringing this toddler baby carrier? Well, depending on the trip, we might still bring our stroller again, but we've kind of started to phase out bringing that on our trips, which has been such a nice relief to not have to lug that all over the place. But our biggest fix for this is being super intentional with our itinerary planning, making sure that where we're staying is centrally located to all the things that we want to do, checking out the public transportation so that we can take the bus or the subway or whatever public transportation options are available to us so we can get to the places that are especially far away from where we are staying. But also we are working to condition our girls when we are home. We go on walks, we take long trips through the grocery store or to the mall to get those reps in so that when we need them to walk places, it's not the first time they've ever had to walk a longer distance. So if your child is getting close to that 3.5 age mark and you're not sure if you still need another carrier, it took up so much space, and for only using it one time, it's hard to justify packing it again. All right, we're moving into regret number 3, and that is the Foldie backpack. So we brought this for our trip to Switzerland, and although we did use it throughout that trip, it's something that I'm just not sure how much we're gonna use going forward. I love how it collapses down. It's a nice, sturdy backpack with lots of room and pockets inside of it that is great for day trips to pack extra clothes for your kids, snacks, extra layers, anything that you might need while you're out and about. However, we recently got Haley a new backpack from LL Bean, and I think that this is just going to be our new solution for when we are doing day trips out and about. The reason that we were bringing a packable backpack was for day trips, like I've already mentioned, but the reason we weren't using our backpacks is because they're really big. If you've watched any of our Pack With Me or Unpack With Me videos, you've seen that Andrew and I have pretty massive backpacks, which is excellent for packing, but not so great for going around day to day to just little spots around town. So we wanted something that was smaller, that was easier to find things in, and that we wouldn't have to completely unpack our bags to use just for a day trip. So as I already mentioned, we have a solution for this. We are going to start using Haley's backpack. It is a little bit larger. It is easier for Andrew and I to wear compared to the old backpack that she had that was definitely made for children. And now we're able to save that space in our suitcases for things that we actually need. We also have another collapsible bag option that I will be talking about in next week's video that we love. So having 2 collapsible bags that take up a lot of suitcase space just doesn't make sense for us. Okay, going into regret number 4, and this is another big bulky item that takes up that precious space in your suitcase, and that is the inflatable booster seats. Now, these things worked out great. We used them on our most recent trip to Ireland. They're super easy to blow up. They're really nice quality. But if you're going on a trip where you're mostly relying on public transportation and you don't need to be in a car, these are something that take up a big amount of space. Like I just said, we only used these on one day of our trip in Ireland, and it would be totally different if we had rented a car and we were using them for the entirety of our trip, but that was just not the case here. And maybe that will be the case going forward, but overall, they just might not be worth it. Obviously, the safety of our children is super important to us, so we wanted to make sure that we had a safe car option for them because we knew we were probably going to be taking taxis one day. So we are very glad we had them, and we are glad we had a way to keep them safe. But another option you can use if you do not want to lug these across the ocean and take up that precious space in your suitcase is to look into renting a car seat or seeing if there are any taxi or car services that provide car seats for your kids. So this is just another instance where maybe doing a little bit more research or doing a little bit more digging can help save you that space in your suitcase. And for us, this was on our Ireland trip, and if you watch any of our videos, you know we only had 10 days between booking the trip and leaving for the trip, so we didn't have a ton of time to do research, so we just ended up buying these booster seats. And like I have said, they work really great, and if they are something you need for your trip, then absolutely bring them. But I think we could have saved some space in our suitcase if we had done a little more research and strategic planning for our trip. So look into your itinerary for your trip, see how often you're going to be using a car, or if there are other alternatives like public transportation that you could take instead, so that you can leave something like this at home. And finally, regret number 5, another giant item that took up so much space in our suitcase was the inflatable kids mattress. So again, this is not a problem with the quality of the item that I'm talking about. This mattress is so nice. It is a very nice quality. The girls have slept comfortably on it multiple times, whether on our international travels or just our trips around the US. But the problem with this mattress is that it takes up so much space. If you watch my very first ever Pack With Me video, I talk about how that inflatable mattress took up one whole entire side of a suitcase. And that's a lot of space for clothes, especially at the time, diapers, extra shoes. I mean, there's just so much stuff that you can fit in a suitcase, and just take a whole half of a suitcase for an inflatable mattress was just a lot. And I think the fix for this is to spend a little bit more time looking at your accommodations and trying to find places that have an extra twin bed or a trundle bed, or even reaching out to apartment hostesses to see if you can get any kind of crib or cot for your kid, because this item just takes up so much space. And especially if you're like us and you're trying to pack in only carry-ons, that suitcase space is super, super precious. So again, it's not about the quality of this item. If this is something that you need on your trip, it is amazing and it is absolutely worth it. But if you can spend a little bit of time on the front end finding accommodations that will provide enough bed space for everybody in your group, it is really nice to not have to lug this all across the world. So those are my 5 biggest packing regrets from our family travels. They are all wonderful quality items, but if you have limited space in a suitcase, it is something that takes up a lot of space and just might not be worth it. But every trip, every family, every situation is different, so you need to take a look at the space that you have, the places you're going, the type of trip that you're doing, and truly decide whether or not these items are worth it for you to bring. And one more thing I'll remind you too is that every trip you become a better traveler. I learn from every trip we go on about whether something was a big win or a big regret, and I have found that each trip we go on, my packing gets more and more efficient. So don't get discouraged if you find yourself in an overpacking situation. It's not the end of the world. It might be a little frustrating or a little bit more bulky, but you will get through it and you won't make those same mistakes again on your next trip. So now that I've shared my biggest packing regrets with you, I want to hear what your biggest regrets are down in the comments below. So please let me know what was a regret, what was something that you really should have just left at home or waited and purchased on your trip, because it is always good to hear from other people so that we can learn from others' mistakes. And now thank you again so much for watching today's video. If you found it at all helpful, please give this video a like. And if you have any other questions or thoughts, please feel free to leave a comment down below. If you want to follow along for more family travel tips or more family travel inspiration, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can get notified when we post new videos. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at @Explore. So thank you so much again for watching today. And don't forget to tune into our next video where I will be sharing our 5 biggest packing wins from all of our family travels. Catch you in the next one.